Hello. Hey, hi everyone.
Hi.
There you go. So this is start in 2 more minutes, right? I'm just waiting for everyone to join in.
Okay.
Okay, so we all, I think we can start now. In the meantime, the rest will join in. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So see, so today, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the subject of R now, right? So, what is R? Anyone, any idea?
It's a programming language to do some computation, statistics, and graphics. This is what I know because I don't have any knowledge on R.
Right. So this is a tool, right? So R is a tool which is used for statistical analysis.
Oh, it's not a programming language?
It's a programming language only, so we call it a
Okay.
tool also.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this tool has its own programming language. So when we talk of statistical analysis, right? So statistical analysis means all the data that you get, and you would like to create some reports on it. You would like to analyze it. You would like to see what happened, right? You would like to understand what will now happen in the future. So that is something that we call it as statistical analysis of the data. So there are is basically a tool which is used for that. So there are a lot of tools. There are a lot of similar tools in the market, right? Like if you name it, you have R, you have Python, you have SAS, you have SPSS, right? You have MATLAB. You can do the analysis in the Excel also, right? Statistical analysis will be done in the Excel as well. So there are lots and lots of tools in the market, but when it comes to just purely statistics, R is one of the only tools, R and SAS, right? And R, is an open source. R is an open source tool. So what do I mean by open source? It's like a tool which is freely available, right? The code of that tool is freely available. Anyone can develop, anyone can see how that coding has been written. So that is why R is an open source tool. So similarly, Python is also an open source, right? So anyone can create their own packages. So what are packages? We will be talking in the sessions. So R is an open source, right? Like in the last couple of years, right? I will say in the last 3 to 4 years, R and Python they became very very popular for statistical analysis. Before that, the tools that we used to use for statistical analysis they were SAS, SPSS, and MATLAB, right? These were the tools that the statisticians they used to use in order to do analyze their data. But these tools are very very expensive, right? SAS, SPSS, MATLAB, and especially if you talk about SAS, it's very expensive, right? The license is very expensive. Though it is still used, right? Like most of the financial firms they still use SAS only because it has very high data security. But most of the places you will see in consulting firms and IT firms, R and Python are the most sought tools which are used for the statistical analysis of the data, right? So this code, right? It's a definitely it has its own programming language. It has its own programming language. And this programming language that we talk over here is not typically like a C, Java, or any other language. It's very simple and it's created in a way that it is more like there are two type of languages that we have. One is called as machine friendly and one is called as user friendly. Okay, so machine friendly is a language that is more like easy to compute for the machines and machines can give you the results and do some calculations together. So they are like C and C++, right? Those are the languages which are more like machine friendly. But the languages like R, Python, they are more like user friendly, right? Basically a person has to write minimum of the code and most of the things are taken care of by the machines in that case. That is how these languages are created. Because see, statisticians won't be the people who would be technical. They won't be the people who would be like very good with all those coding languages. So that is why these languages are created so that non-technical people also they can get their job done in a best possible way. Okay. So in order to learn this, right, so what we will be doing is, first of all, we will be getting familiar with its interface. We will get familiar with interface. We will understand its basic programming structure, right? How we basically write the programs. So we will be understanding the programming structure, right? We will understand how the data is stored, right? We will talk about data structures. Basically, there is a way in which R stores the data. So we will be talking that. And so this is how we will maintain the flow. And most of the things you will see, right, you have already done in the other tools, right? We will be talking about data manipulation, right? Data manipulation is nothing. We will be using SQL type of stuff uh, in the R. We will be doing data manipulation. Oh, sorry, data visualization. In this, what we will be doing is we will be creating different type of charts over here, right? So that is how we will be taking the things ahead. We will do data manipulation, data visualization. So these are the kind of things that we are going to work upon. So first things first, let's install this, right? How to get it installed, right? In order to install this R, first we have to go to the CRAN. CRAN stands for Comprehensive R Archive Network. Okay, so if you come over here, CRAN.RStudio, right? Now this is basically the repository, right? This is the repository where all the things that in the R are maintained. So if you have to install this R, so you just have to come on this link. Let me just put it over the chat. Riva, you've done it. Okay. So anyone who has not done it, so you just need to come over here, and if you're using Mac or Windows, you have to just go on the link and install R for the first time. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So, when you go over here, come over here, when you install this, so let us see what is going to get installed. So this is a software that gets installed from the above link that I have just shared, right? This is where you can write your R codes now. Suppose I write hello world, right? You want to use it like a calculator, 9 plus 10, oops, 9 plus 10, right? You want to write anything, right? I'm just using like a calculator right now. 8 into 5, right? 7 into 6. So you can use this over here uh, to do some quick calculations, although you can write the complete R codes over here. So just you can try to open it up once. Just all of you just go to that R folder and you will be able to open it.
In front of each output, right, it is displaying 1. It's like the first line of output, or what it symbolizes?
First value basically. It's like our output is in the form of a vector, which I will be telling you.
Okay.
So that's the first value of the vector.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, if you will see, right, this interface that you see over here is really a little not user friendly, I would say, right? A lot of like a command prompt that we used to have. So what we have is we have a concept of IDEs, right? We have a concept of IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So what is that basically? So IDE stands for integrated. So basically what happens is like most of the programming language, they have some, you will get some of the additional programming interfaces, right? So which helps the users, this helps users to write the code in a better way. So the IDE that we have for R is, that is RStudio, right? You have RStudio, which is an IDE. So for using an IDE, you must have R to be installed, right? You should have this, the base R that I gave you, this should be installed. Only then you can use RStudio, right? RStudio is nothing, it's a layer. It's a layer which will get integrated with this base R, and then you will be able to write all the codes and all in a lot better interface. Okay, so just to now install this, the RStudio, so you have to come on this link, that is rstudio.com. Okay, if you come on this link, you have to click on products and RStudio. And just come down, click on RStudio desktop. So this is an open source tool, and you have to, I will probably share the final link only from where you have to download it. You just have to come over here. So this is the link that I'm sharing. So if you'll all come over here, this is where you will be able to download this RStudio desktop. Please all of you.
Amit,
Uh-huh.
sorry to interrupt. The editor which you showed us just before, if I am using some commands, right, how can I save that?
So from here, you have to just file, and you will actually have to save this workspace from here.
Okay, workspace. Okay.
But this is, we will not be using this the first time and the last time I opened this.
Okay.
Because when we work RStudio, this is a better way where we can handle all the things.
Okay, because things are slightly differ for me since I'm using Mac. For me, it says save a document.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but functionality wise, it's same, right? No matter what OS you okay.
All the options, everything will come as same.
Okay, which means we are not going to use this frequently, this editor.
No, no. Everyone, please just confirm once that if you are able to download it.
Hi, Amit. Watching the class through my phone, so I'll download it later.
Sorry?
I'm taking the class through my phone, logged in through my phone, so I'll download it later after class.
I think your voice is a little low.
She's saying that she's listening via mobile. She can
Oh,
download
okay,
it
okay.
later.
Okay, later on. Okay, okay. No, sorry. Yeah. Sure. So, if you want to know, I will just put these links on the WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
okay. So once you install this, right? So once this is downloaded, so we just have to launch this now, RStudio, right? Like like the people who already know Python, right? So Python is something you can write in again and different IDEs. You have Jupyter Notebook, right? Spider, PyCharm, a lot of places. So similarly, but for R, like this is the RStudio, that is the premium IDE that we use. So here you can launch this. So once you will open this, so this is how your interface will look like, right? This is how your interface would be looking like when you open it for the first time. Okay. So when you open it, right, the first thing that will take your attention is that will be console. If you see this console, and if I open this R over here, also you have this console. Okay, this is the same console. Correct. That is why I said IDE, integrated development environment. So what is happening is the R has got integrated over here. So till the time you don't have that main base R, right, that CRAN R that we share, you won't be able to install this. This will only be, otherwise it will, R Studio itself will give you an error that the R is not found, so it can't install. So this gets integrated with that now. And see, if I write something like this, the thing that I was writing over here, same output come and everything works over here as well, right? So the things work like this over here. So definitely now you will be wondering that what is the benefit of that? That if we are doing the same thing over there and same thing over here. So the benefit that we get over here is that you click on the file and you click on new file and you can open a R script. Right now it opens a scripting window, right? This is a scripting window. Scripting window means over here you can easily write the codes and then you can plan when you want to execute them. If you want to re-execute them, you can keep doing that. This is just like query editor, the query editor that we have, right? The like we write the new query in the in the SQL, right? We say new query and this window opens up where you can write those queries and all. This is something like that, right? This is just like query writer. Okay, this is what we use and we scribble all our queries over here. So first of all, what I would like to do is I would like to just introduce you to this new environment. So when you click on file and you click on new file, this is a scripting window that will open up where you can write your codes. One thing, then what happens is any code that you will write, it will get executed ultimately over here only. This is the console window where the execution of the codes take place. Then what you have is over here, if you will come, this is the environment window. Now, what is environment window? Because R is a language which works in your RAM. Okay, please understand this. See, R is not a database. See, when you work with Excel or when you work with SQL, over there, what is happening is all the data that you are generating, all the data gets saved on your hard drive, correct? But in R, what happens is we do not work in hard drive and all. We will load the data will be stored in the RAM, all the processing, all the analysis, everything will happen in the RAM. And once your processing is done, you have to take the data back to your data source, right? You want to save the data in Excel, you want to store the data in SQL, you can do that, right? You can save the data anywhere you want in any of your source now that is how basically this the R and Python, they both handle the data. So because anything you would be creating, the moment you close your R session, everything over here will be deleted, nothing is saved, right? This is where you see environment, and over here what we do is we work with the help of variables, which I will be coming just again in a time, because variables will be the most important stuff. That is how we will be managing and calling the data. Then if you come over here at the bottom, you will find the section of files, right? Files are like the folders and all to which you can connect and load the data. If you will be creating some charts and all, so they will be visible over here, right? If you want, we will be talking about packages. So what are packages? Basically, packages are the modules or the functions which can be installed in R, which help us do a lot of tasks in the R, right? That is called as packages. So they will be all visible over here. Then there is a section of help. If you want to grab a quick help on any of the topic in R, so you will be able to find that over here. So like for example, if I click on this, right, you just have to type your function name. Suppose you want to know what is a vector, so you search it and you will get all the information over here. So R has a very aggressive, I will say, documentation. You will be able to find each and everything, the help or anything to everything right over here. Then there is a section of viewer, right? Viewer is nothing. Viewer is again something we use to see interactive charts, right? So that is the difference between, these are the different options that you will see, which we will definitely be using as we progress with the course over here. So let us start with this. So I'll request everyone to please open this R script. And if anyone has any issue, please let me know. I can help you out with that. Okay, right. So first of all, what I do is we just write something like this, right? Suppose I write 10 into 10, right? So I'm just writing the simple stuff, 10 into 10. Now, if you write something over here in the script window, right? If you will hit enter, you will go into the next line, right? So if I say 20 plus 20, so this is how this is just working like a notepad right now. This is just working like a notepad. So how do you execute how do you execute something over here? Just select that line and click on run, and you will see ultimately the code will be executed in the console window.
What is the shortcut, keyboard shortcut for running the code?
Control enter.
Okay. And in
Yes.
Python, I think it was it control enter only or shift enter?
Over there, that was control enter only.
Control enter.
There are a lot of shortcuts. Like in the SQL, we use F5 right over here. So in the VBA also, right? I can use VBA also. Like I VBA codes over there is a F5. If you write the codes in SAS, there is F3. So different languages, they all have these different shortcuts. Right. So you're in this line, control enter. So 20 plus 20, it gives you 40. See, ultimately the codes will be executed over here. If you want to write something as a comment, right? So that is hash. So you can make anything as a comment. So if you have written something like this, I am a comment, right? So right now this is not a comment. You have to put a hash sign, but you can simply press Control Shift C. See, Control Shift C is a shortcut to basically make anything as a comment, right? Control plus Shift plus C. Okay. Now the first topic that we're going to start off over here is that would be data types. So what are the different data types that are supported by R? Okay. So the first data type that R supports is that is character. Then there is numeric. Then there is logical. Then there is the complex numbers, complex. And then we have the dates. Right, so these are the different data types that are supported by R now. So character is like the data that you write in the double quotes, right? So that is strings or anything. So character data is something that you write in the double quotes, right? So I am a character. So that is what a character data type is. So now what we do in R is we actually use a concept of variables. Now this is very important to understand. See, variables means like how will you like to store that data? Okay, because if you have run this line, it gives you the output. But if I want to use the same thing somewhere else, how will I use it? So what we do is we create variables. What is variable? Variable is temporary storage, right? We create temporary storage. So what we do is we say a equals to 10, right? That is how a variable is defined. So I'm saying a is equals to 10. So this value I am a character will be stored in this variable now, right? So if I run this now, so if you see a variable is created by the name of a in which this value is stored. I am a character. So anywhere you refer to a now. So if I come over here and I say a, so you will see the same value I am character is printed. Okay. So that is basically this is your this is how you can use the variables over here. Just try it once. Just try to write it at your end. Nice. Right. So now when these variables that we define, so there is a very different way of defining a variable in R also. That is again, if I give you, see, I can write the same thing like this also, a little arrow, right? I am a character. Now this is also a way of assigning a variable, right? That A, to this I have assigned I am a character. Let's change the name. Let's call it as B rather. Okay. If you run this, you will notice another variable has been created. One is A, another is B, right? So you can assign a value in the variable in this way or in this way. So both are, they both work, right? So this is little, some people find it little difficult to put it. So this is less than and a hyphen sign. This is something which is unique to R.
Which means you're assigning and simultaneously it is printing the value of B.
Sorry.
Because in A, right, you're just assigning a value to the variable A and you're printing A again.
Uh, in both the
Whereas
time,
yeah.
in both of them, the same thing will happen, right? So basically, if you, whether you write this way or this way, in both of them, the variables will be created. So like in this also, A will be created and the value will be assigned. In this also, variable B is created and the value is assigned.
But here in the next step, you didn't print B, right?
So you can do that. I can write B also and it will print the same thing.
Okay. So my question was, if we give in the second manner, is it necessary to print B or will it assign and print simultaneously?
No, printing is just for to see the value for our
Okay.
own purpose.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If you don't want to print it, you can use it somewhere else. You want to assign the value somewhere else. So it is totally. So I had just written it to show you that
Okay.
if you want to see the value, you just write the variable name and you can see its value in the console.
Okay. Okay. I thought it will assign and also, so both are just assigning the values. Okay.
Both are same. Both are same.
Okay.
Nothing is.
Okay.
Okay. So now this is the character data, right? So numeric is the data that is in the form of a numbers, right? Like for example, you write num, I assign a value as 100 or 100.5. So this is a numeric data, right? So you get the data that is in the form of a numbers. So that is something that we call it as numeric data now. And then you have logical data, right? Logical is the data that is in the form of a true and false, right? So how do we assign true and false in R is, okay. So what we do is we simply say that I am defining a variable logic and I want to assign the value as true. So capital T means true, that this is a logical data. Or you can write it like this also, right? I say logic as true, right? So you will get this true over here. So, one very important pointer over here, R is case sensitive. So please be careful on this, that R is case sensitive. What do I mean by this is that if you have written logi in lowercase and if you write logi like this, it will give an error, that object not found. Okay. So then after this logical data, we have complex numbers, right? Complex numbers you all would have studied in your high schools, right? The numbers that we have with iota. Suppose I say 5 plus 2 iota, right? So this is a complex number, 5 plus 2 iota, where iota used to be root minus 1. So it's something we will never be using anywhere. This is just a data type. I have never used in my the any other projects up till now, but we should be aware of it, right? If we have it, so we should know about it. That there is one data type of this type as well. Okay. See, now the next data type is that is dates, right? Now dates are something which are defined in a little different way in the art. I mean the structure remains the same, right? Like this is how you give a date. So 2021, right? And you write something like this. Suppose the month is 12th, 25th, right? So this is how you can create the dates. But right now, this date that I have given now, this is just a character data only. This is just a character data. We actually have to convert the dates into the date format using some functions. So we will be discussing just in a little while, right? So how to work with dates, we will be talking about. So these are the different data types, right? So what type of a data? So how do you check, right? How do you check in a particular variable that what type of a data do you have? So we have a function called as the type of, right? If you write type of and you say you want to check what is the type of data you have in A, right? So you see, you can get it. This is character. You want to see type of for num, right? It tells you double, right? Double means a number which can accept integer values or the big numbers also and floating the decimal numbers also. Similarly, you have one function called as class, right? Class, if you say class of B, class of num, it will tell you numeric, right? Numeric means it's a big family. Numeric numbers can be integer also, they can be double also, they can be floating also. So that is something that you define it as the class now, the family.
Sorry, can you just differentiate? The first type of is to find what is the data type of a particular variable, right?
Yeah, so basically, see, like you have classes like numeric data, right? Now, numeric data
Okay.
is something that can be of integer type.
Okay.
It can be with decimals, right? Like float number,
Float. Okay.
right? So you can have double, right? Double the numbers, which
Mm-hmm.
can be the big size numbers. So that is
Okay.
something that is something that is called as a class now.
Okay.
Okay. But for character, we don't have any such thing, right? Character for the type is also
Yeah.
same, the class is also same. So if you use class of A, right, that is also character and type is also character. We don't have any further bifurcation in that.
Class of num you gave in the line number 56. It's again a variable, right? The num.
Now is the variable that we
Okay.
created,
Okay.
where
Okay.
we storing data.
Okay.
Okay. Now we are going to talk about data structures. Okay. Now what is data structure? This is the way how data is stored in R. Okay. Now there are different type of data structures that we are going to talk about. So one is vectors. All these new terms will be coming in front of you. Vectors, matrices, data frames, list. Right? These are different type of data structures, right? Data structures, what do I mean by that? Data structure means how you can store your data, in what way you can store and manage your data. So we are going to start off with the first thing, that is vectors. This is a technique in which we store the data in a one-dimensional array format. Right? We store the data in a one-dimensional array type of a format when we talk about vectors. So, so what happens in a vector is, like for example, right now if you would have seen, when I was declaring a variable a, I was just storing one value at a time, right? Like for example, I was storing 10. Okay, now this I have just stored one single value. But what if you have to store multiple values? So that is where we have to make use of a vector. So if I say A and I say C, I write 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I give 5 different values over here. Now I'm storing 5 different values together. So how we do that is, you have to write C. C stands for combine. C stands for combine. Okay. Now what I'm doing over here is I am storing 5 different values together, and which we call it as a vector now. So if I run this, we'll just watch for a minute, then you can all do it. So I have made a vector now A. So what happens is it overwrites the previous variable. If suppose there was already a variable by the same name and there was some other value, you reassign it. So definitely variables get reassigned. So now I have stored a complete variable, a complete vector inside this variable. Now, when you create a vector, right, a vector can have the data of same type. You cannot store character and numeric data together in the vector. It can only have a data of same type, either all character, either all numeric, or all logical. So that is how you create a vector now. So basically what I've done is, in this vector that I have created, I have stored 5 numeric values. I have stored 5 numbers over here in one variable. Okay. So please try this. Now create a vector at your end.
To understand right, just correct me if I'm wrong. Is it like a one-dimensional array storing this
Yes,
vector?
yes. Yeah. So
I
this is, so
understand it
basically
that way. Okay.
we store the one-dimensional array of data.
Okay. If I try to store, you said all values in this vector, right? Should be of same data type. This is integer. If I want to store character or group of characters, will I enclose in quotes or?
You will have to use quotes, right? Suppose you want to store the colors. So I create a
Okay.
variable colors. So I want to store the color red, green, light blue. So it creates a vector where I have now 3 different colors.
Okay. Okay. Only double quotes allowed here in R. Okay.
In that A vector which you've created, can we use different numericals like decimal or other numbers?
That you can do. So like if suppose you were creating this, so you wanted to store suppose ages. So if you say right, one is 11, 11.2, right, 12.3, and 1. So it goes. So what went wrong? This is okay. So all your numbers are stored now in this.
But in array, we can store both numbers and characters in the same array. So that's different.
So over here we can't do it. It's like of same type.
So here, Amit, we use this less than equal to and a dash for assignment. And
Mhm.
equal to represents, what does equal to
Assignment.
represent? Sorry, equal to represents that it's
Both are
equal to
assignment.
that value.
Well,
Okay, like we used to use double equal to, right? For comparing the operator. So do
yes.
we use that here also?
The same thing applies over here.
So instead of this, like you written ages and that less than equal to dash, if we write equal to, that will work also?
Now that is the same thing. Either you write this way or you write this way. That is the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens is when we store the data in the form of a vector, right? So when the data is stored in the form of a vector, so R follows index, right? R follows. Okay, so R follows indexing. Now this indexing starts from 1. Indexing starts from 1. Okay, right? Like the people, like we attended this session of Python. So over there, the indexing starts from 0. So in this, indexing starts from 1 over there. Now, what is indexing, and if you will be wondering. So indexing is nothing. It is just giving the numbering to that. Like this is the first number, second number, third number, fourth, and fifth. So that is what an indexing is. So indexing in R starts from 1. So when you create a vector, so what R is going to do, it's going to give a indexing to each of the values. Okay. So like for example, so I want to see only the first number. So what I can do is I can simply say ages 1, right? So it will show me the first age. If I say ages 2, it is going to give me the second age. So that is where this indexing is used, right? So indexing is just a reference what value we are looking at. First value, second value, third value.
Amit, what is the meaning of vectors? Because I faintly remember when we were doing it in school, like maths and in physics, they used to say vectors have directions and like,
That's
you know,
that's the physical that was the term we used to use in physics, right? Scalars and vectors.
yeah,
So that was a different idea. Over here, it is more like just a data structure that has been created, right? So arrays or vectors, they are something like similar. So we call it as
where we're
okay,
just storing data.
it's a way of when you have to store multiple data points. So we call it as a vector over here, like multiple things associated to it, right? Like in a scalar, we used to have one single value. In a vector, we used to have multiple things assigned to it, right? A value also and a direction also. So
Yes.
similarly, we are using in the same context that there are multiple values. We are calling that as a vector.
Okay.
Okay. So indexing is something that starts from 1 now. So you can use that indexing number to print any of the 1 numbers. If you want to print more than one number, right? Suppose you want to see what is the value that is stored at index number 1 and index number 5. So you can say ages, right? Now, if you have to see two numbers, right? So you will say C, you want to see the value which is at index number 1 and index number 3. So if you run this, it gives you that 11 and 12 are the two different age that is stored at position number 1 and 2.
So why did you use C here?
So multiple values, right? So wherever you will use multiple values, vector has to be defined. So one single value is given without C, right? I've written 1, 2. But when you have to give two values together, you have to use C over there, right? Vector.
Is it possible to print values from a range? Can I give like C or from this
Huh?
particular value?
So you just say right ages,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you say, so what happens is like when you have this range, right? So for range, what we do is like colon. Suppose you
Yeah.
want to put values 1 to 10. So in that
Yes.
case, you don't need to give C. You simply say 1, 2, 3. So it will
Okay.
print
Just the
1,
range.
2, and 3. Yeah.
Okay.
You can apply some of the formulas and functions also, right? Like for example, if you want to sum, you want to find the sum of that ages. So you can do that. You can apply sum function, right? So that will give you the total sum 61.5. You want to find the minimum of the ages, so you can use that. You want to find the max, you can do that. So the mathematical functions that we studied, so those functions will work over here as well. Sum, min, max, mean, right? You want to find the mean, so that is also there, that will work and give you the average value. Okay, so this is the function that you can use. Similarly, if you want to do the sorting of the data, right? So what happen is you have like order. This is a vector ages, right? So by default, what it will happen right now is, just take a look at it. Now this is something, I know it gives a different output in a little different way. So you see it is giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have said order. Order is a command that we use for sorting. So what is this order is doing? See, what were the ages? I had 11, 11.2, 12, 12.3, and likewise. Because the data any which ways was in a sorted order. So what order function does is it will tell you that the number at the the number at index number 1 is the smallest, the number at index number 2 is the second highest, this is the third highest, fourth and fifth. Basically, it prints the index number, right? It prints the index number in the sorting of the data, right? So if you want to print that output now, so what you will have to do is you will have to say order, and now you have to say that, oh, sorry, you will have to say ages. You want to print the output in this sequence, order of ages. This is how you will get the output.
Can you repeat it once? I'm not getting.
Getting it? So what
No, no,
order is
no. Yeah.
so what order is doing? Order is giving you the, suppose let's take another vector. So let's create vector 1. Suppose I am saying in this vector I have stored the value as 9, 7, 12, 3, 20. Okay. So now what is the position of the smallest number? That is 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
4. Then you
Yes.
have
2,
2. Then you have
1,
this 1,
1,
3,
3,
and
5.
okay. So this is exactly the same order, this order function print. So if I write VEC1, see 4, 2, 1, 3, and 5. So it is telling you the fourth number that you have, that is the smallest, then it is 2, then it is 1, then it is 3, and then 5. So it prints the index number of that. Now, if you want to generate the output in the sorted order, you will have to say ages, oh sorry, this vector 1, right? So we were previously, what I did was I was saying that I want to print the output 1, 3, 5. So I was giving it was just printing those numbers for me. But now I am saying I want to have these numbers in the output, right? Or sorry, these numbers in the output, which is 4, 2, 1, 3, 5. So I'm giving that as a input over here, so it will print the output in a sorted order now. 2, 7, 9, 12, 20. Got it?
Yeah, can I give it in one line itself instead of giving order of vector 1?
You can do that. So this is,
Yeah.
you write this over here only. That was explaining part. You
Okay.
can say in the variable also, suppose you create a variable and you save this over there, and you can give that variable name as well. So VEC1, you can give that variable name also.
Okay. This makes sense now. Thank you.
Okay. Similarly, if you want to do the sorting of the data in the descending order, right? So what we do is we use order, and I say variable that I'm using is that is vector1, and I want that sorting to be decreasing. So I will say comma decreasing equals to true, right? That I want to see the output in the decreasing order. So you will see now the output, it is giving you the indexing numbers in the other way around, in the opposite direction. Okay. So this is how a vector is created, right? So is it uh, getting clear to all of you? Some other minor operations that we have done on this.
Yeah, first you're just ordering via indexes and you're passing that indexes and it is displaying in a sorted manner. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You have a function sort also, right, that you can use. So you can say sort, and this is a direct function. You will not have to go into all the hassles. So if you say this vector1, so it generates the output right away. So order was a little tricky part, so that is why I went first. But you want to get that thing directly, you can use sort function. So sort, and again, if you want to do that sorting in the decreasing order, so the same thing, decreasing equals to true. Right, so either you go by order, so definitely sorting is much more easier and convenient to use, so you can use this. Okay. Similarly, if you want to generate sequence of numbers, right? If you want to generate sequence of numbers, there is a function, right? That is called as sequence. If you say sequence, you want to generate the numbers, say suppose from 1 to 100. So you can say this. See, the numbers from 1 to 100 will be generated in one go. You want to generate a sequence. You want to say you want to generate the numbers from 1 to 100 jumping by 2. So you can generate that. Oh, sorry, 1 to 10 jumping by 2.
Will it work on negative values?
Negative, I mean, negative as in?
See, from 1 to 100, if I want to generate a values from -1 to 10, will it work or no?
That will work. So you just put that up sequence, and you want to generate the number from minus 10 to plus 10, right? So you can do that. This.
the second sequence, right? Is it the step size or
Step size,
okay?
like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9.
Because I couldn't see the output for that.
This.
Okay.
Okay. You want to give the names, right? So what you can also do is we can give names to the vector as well, right? So you want to define some names for that. Like for example, I want to give a names to this VEC1. So I gave a name. So in that VEC1, I have 5 values, right? 9, 7, 12, 2, and 20. Suppose I want to give the name as the first value as A1. This is A2. This is A3. This is A4. And this is A5. So you can give the names as well. So we will now check the vector VEC1. So you can see. So apart from the indexing, I have just defined the names that the first value is A1, second value is A2, third value is A3, likewise.
Is it like labeling the values or
Labeling, just using the
okay?
label. Now, if you want to call a value, right, you want to say VEC1, you can use the name also that you want to see the value that is A4. So either you use index number or the name, both is the same.
Okay, like index. Okay, we are just giving the label here. Okay, okay, got it. Again, if I give the index, it won't work, right? Will it work? No.
This is just an add-on feature that we have given. If you say 4 over here, so it will give you the same result.
Oh, it works. Okay.
Okay. So I think we'll keep the stuff up till here for today, right? The vectors. So tomorrow we will start off with matrix data frames, which will be the more important ones, right? Where we will see the two-dimensional structure of the data being saved. So this is where I'll keep for today. Okay. So any questions, we can just discuss that.
Amit, I have a question, one last question. See, in SQL and all, we are storing all the data on the databases, and whenever we require, we are just pulling the data from the database. You said R, you are just loading the data, processing, done, runs on RAM. Can you just explain a bit more?
So basically, if you see right now, let me just save this script first. So all of you
Okay.
please save the script, click on file and click on save. So this R coding will be saved, right? This R script will be saved. So now I've saved this script. Let me close this and let's close this now. So you're asking, do you want to save the workspace? I say don't save, right? So now what happens is when you open this R Studio again, so you will not find anything over here now, right? So everything is empty. You open that file now where the code was written. Okay. So what we do is we actually have to start recreating the things again and again, right? So anything that you would have done. So we work with the code only. Now I have to want ages, so I have to run that code again, right? That is how we work over here. So basically, once you close the session, everything gets washed off. Okay, because if you see, we have not saved this data anywhere, and vectors and all, this is not storing of the data anywhere. Variables are like, as I said, temporary storage. So what we do is,
Yeah.
suppose, which we will be going ahead. So see, this is statistical analysis. So you're not generating the data inside it. In the SQL Server, what you were doing was you were generating the data and you were storing the data. But
Yeah.
the same thing was happening in the Excel. You were writing some data in the cells and storing the data. Over
Yes.
here, we will connect the R to the Excel or a CSV. We will load the data. We will do some analysis, and then we will send it back to that. We will save that analysis in some sort of Excel or CSV file again. So that is what I mean by that processing is happening all in the RAM. So now you see this variable, this data that is created. Now this is temporarily stored in RAM only. This ages is being stored in the RAM. The moment we close it, so this gets deleted. This gets washed off.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, getting it. Yeah, meanwhile, while you will be showing how to load and manipulate data, right? So
Ah.
I'll try to get much more better. And I asked for the multi-line comment. Is there any option for that? The hash, which is for the single line, right? For commenting multi-lines.
So you will have to do, you can just select multiple lines together in that case. And
Mm-hmm.
this hash.
Okay.
So this is what you have. As such,
Okay.
like in the other language, you have that somewhere, we have these languages, right? We like this and star,
Yeah, slash star. Yeah, I tried. It
but
is not working here. Yeah.
it is not available in this. Anyways, so I think this is where we'll take a pause and let's make tomorrow. So we will start with matrices and data frames.
Okay. Thank you for the session. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Well,
Bye. Thank you.